Hi. The great news is that we are able to now come back to shul, to our daily minyanim, morning and evening, up to 25 people, on Shabbat, up to 25 congregants. So if you want to join us on Fridays, Shabbat morning, our weekdays, please call us, sign up, and we can have you in. And slowly but surely, as we see more a recovery of post-pandemic and people getting vaccinated and lower risk, we will increase that number, I'm sure, and recoup and get the sense of community that we have been not having for the past year. So those are great news. And it comes to the time in which we are reading the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments, which have two versions, one in Exodus and the other in Deuteronomy, are absolutely the cornerstone of our religion, our philosophy, and our world. And the Ten Commandments by themselves are brief and, of course, require interpretation. There's nothing in the Torah that doesn't require interpretation. Even when we say, do not commit murder, is that all the time? What about self-defense? Right? So every one of these commandments, of course, requires a commentary. But the important thing is that we agree, or whether we don't agree, it doesn't really matter. God projects to the people of Israel and to the world that these are the regulations for our society. If you take a good look at the Ten Commandments, you'll realize that after the first two or three, the attention is absolutely about the relationship that we can have with other human beings. Even if the sense of Shabbat, speaks of the way we treat people that work for us and ourselves, in the sense that we have to rest at least one day a week. Something very obvious to you and to me, but it wasn't so obvious even 100 years ago. So the relevance of the Ten Commandments to today's society is something that continues to develop, and the more we study them, the more we can find interpretation to current events. We talk about not taking God's name in vain, but in reality it means not using God's name to misrepresent God and saying, God says you should follow this. And we hear that message all the time. All the time we're hearing people that put themselves on the side of God and tell us what God is thinking or what they think God is telling us what to do. So do not think for a moment that the Ten Commandments are not relevant. In our tradition, the rabbi thought it was so relevant that they put the Ten Commandments in the Siddur. And technically, every day people read the Ten Commandments. We don't do that anymore because the rabbis thought that people would come to shul, read the Ten Commandments, and goodbye. Services will last only a minute, less than a minute. So by not reading the Ten Commandments and having a service and develop the structure of the service, we guarantee that we have more time together to socialize and to pray to God during those times. Because life in reality is more than the Ten Commandments. There's some nuances and details that are important to be to take interest in and be included. So this particular Shabbat, the Ten Commandments will be read in their entirety, and the Torah reading will be the annual Torah reading. We're doing this because we have some members who are reading Torah and makes the load of reading more accessible to all of us, and also because the extra part of the Torah that we need to read is not that long. So we will read the entire Torah reading. We are thankful to David Rogashevsky is going to do part of that reading. And we will have also Dr. Mark Cohen doing the Haftarah for Parashat Yitro, the Ten Commandments. Something interesting to think about is the name of this Torah portion. The name is of a non-Israelite Kohen Midian. He's a priest of Midian. someone who's not an Israelite, is not an Egyptian, is not a Canaanite, is a Midianite, and he has appreciation, understanding of the role of God that is beginning to appear in the life of Israel. Just a fascinating concept that Yitro, at the beginning of the Torah portion, brings to Moses, not just admiration, respect, but also a sense of organization. He understands that the God of Israel is very interested in the way we organize our lives. And is Yitro the one that proposes Moses to organize the legal system with courts, the lower level, higher level. So Moses doesn't have to determine what's right or wrong in people's lives, all the cases, but rather the most important one, like a Supreme Court type of structure. That is a suggestion of Yitro, his Moses' father-in-law. It's the most interesting Torah portion, the Ten Commandments. I urge you to study them during this week before you come to services, and during services, the ability to follow the Ten Commandments, to stand up and follow the reading in the Chumash, I think is important. Sense of pride of the Jewish people for the Ten Commandments, a sense of communality with other human beings, the fact that we have a divine law that is presented to us so we can get along better. If you were to say what is the unique, distinct element that Judaism has from the beginning that is different from Christianity, Islam, and any other religion, is the fact that the codes of law and behavior, the Ten Commandments in this case, they originate themselves with the deity, with God. This is not our ruling, this is God's ruling. And that is a tremendous help, because then we have people saying, okay, it's not my ruling, it's not your ruling, it's God's ruling. Let's all be subject to that ruling, and gives a sense of justice among humans, of equanimity, of the sense that we all are bound by this law that emanates from the deity. That's called ethical monotheism. It's not just the believing one God, but the God is the generator of the moral life for its people, for God's people. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye, Shabbat Shalom. I'll see you Friday, maybe 25 people, Shabbat morning, 25 people, and every day. We're coming back a little bit. That's great news to me. And Yasher Koach to all of you who supported us through Zoom. We'll continue with our transmission through Zoom, but we would like to see your face or your mask live. Shabbat Shalom. Take care.